Time for the latest on Pope Francis's health.
Vatican saying that the pontiff is fighting pneumonia in both lungs. Let's get the latest from Fox Eyes' Sharon Crowley, who's been monitoring this all. Joins us live from the studio. Sharon.
Yeah, a lot of concern coming from around the world. Now, the Vatican says the Pope is in fair condition tonight. The 88-year-old pontiff, now, as we've been reporting, has pneumonia in both of his lungs. His weekly general audience tomorrow has been canceled for a second week in a row. Meantime, the Pope has been getting prayers for his speedy recovery from around the world. The Vatican says Pope Francis has now developed pneumonia in both lungs after he had been suffering from bronchitis. New tests revealing this further complication. The 88-year-old pontiff is the leader of more than 1 billion Roman Catholics in the world. He's now being treated at a hospital in Rome.
This can be pretty serious, especially in older people. You know, he is an 88-year-old man, a man of God, but a man nonetheless. And he's also had a history of pneumonia. I think a couple of years ago he was hospitalized.
Pope Francis had the upper lobe of his right lung removed as a young man. Doctors say this could cause complications.
It's concerning that he has part of his lung taken out and at his age, concerning that his lung capacity might not be the greatest, especially some of the area of the lung are involved with the pneumonia.
Despite his condition, the Vatican says the Pope is in good spirits and is grateful for prayers for his recovery. Father James Martin is the editor-at-large of America Magazine.
I met with the Pope one-on-one about 4 or 5 times, which was one of the great blessings of my life, and so I'm certainly sad about his condition.
Rocco Palmo is a Catholic journalist and Vatican expert.
I would not bet against this man. You know, especially when you have the best of care and you have all those prayers.
Well-wishers have been standing outside the hospital. The faithful are praying for the Pope and hoping to get a glimpse of the pontiff from his 10th floor window. Some lucky visitors did get treated to the heavenly sight of a rainbow, brightening the sky above the hospital building where the Pope is being treated. Look at that, huh? Well, the Vatican has given no indication yet of how long the Pope might remain hospitalized. They have only said that it's a complex clinical picture and it has required several changes to his drug regimen. Steve?
All right, thanks, Sharon. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops suing President Trump. They claim his executive order to stop refugee resettlement is illegal and unconstitutional. The conference says the State Department told them that funding for foreign aid programs have been suspended, but they claim they are a domestic program that helps refugees. The conference says they need about $13 million for reimbursements and say they've already had to lay off 50 workers.
Hamas says it will release 6 more hostages on Saturday and the bodies of 4 others on Thursday. The move comes in return for Israel allowing mobile homes and construction equipment into the devastated Gaza Strip. The 6 being released this weekend are the last living hostages set to be freed under the ceasefire's first phase. A second round of negotiations is still up in the air as both sides try to agree on terms for a new deal.
I told Bibi, you do whatever you want, because they said they weren't to deliver, they were not going to deliver the people that they said they were going to deliver, that they agreed to deliver. And they did agree to do that, but they broke that agreement.
Hamas says it will release dozens more hostages in exchange for a lasting ceasefire and an Israeli withdrawal.
U.S. and Russian officials today agreed to work toward ending the war in Ukraine, but that decision was made without any officials from Ukraine at the negotiating table. Saudi Arabia hosting the talks today, where Secretary of State Marco Rubio says progress was made in the face-to-face meeting. U.S. officials stressing that just because Ukraine was not at today's meeting does not mean they are not in the loop.
We are absolutely talking to both sides. The Secretary of State just met with President Zelensky days ago, along with the Vice President, 7 cabinet members in Europe at the same time.
President Trump saying late today that he and Vladimir Putin will probably meet before the end of the month.
Aviation experts are taking a closer look at the weather to see if it played a factor in the Delta crash in Toronto. Despite snow on the ground, the airport's fire chief says the runway was dry and there were no crosswind conditions. 80 people were on board and amazingly all of them survived. 21 were hurt, but most are already out of the hospital. Fire crews raced to put out the flames while the cabin crew evacuated the passengers who were hanging upside down.
We were able to get out pretty quickly and kind of like fall down to the ground, which was the ceiling.
It's a very rare combination of weather and wind events. So, but that's the likely culprit there.
This was the fourth plane crash in North America in just the past month. And in the wake of the plane crash in Toronto and the crashes near D.C. and in Philadelphia, many are becoming nervous flyers.
All right, Fox 5's Jody Goldberg takes your flying fears to the experts.
Patricia Ferrer's prayers paid off.
I was crying this morning when I was waiting in the airport. I was like, oh my God, please help me.
The Long Islander safely landed at MacArthur Airport, but in light of recent airplane incidents and the fact that she wasn't a fan of flying in the first place, she's not going anywhere anytime soon.
When you hear the plane shaking, your mind starts going.
While travel agents we spoke with haven't seen an uptick in cancellations, psychologist Dr. Regina Lazarovich says the fear of flying is real and impacts 13% of people in the U.S. She says it's important for those who make up the statistic to stay grounded.
What I help people do is actually gradually expose themselves to the situations because the situation is safe, and I want them to learn through their own experience that they are able to get through it.
According to the NTSB, the odds of getting killed in a plane crash are 1 in 11 million. Now, just to put it in perspective, you have a better chance of getting struck by lightning or even winning the lotto.
I'm all right with it.
A little bit anxious about it.
Everybody has their own fears.
I fly a lot. I don't have a fear.
And if your thoughts are taking off on the issue, pilot and professor Dr. Michael Kanders says pilots are well trained and tragedies are rare.
You have to appreciate how many flights every day, tens of thousands around the world, and how many of them are conducted safely.
The FAA handles about 45,000 flights daily with close to 3 million people on them. Before getting your nerves too rattled, think of the stats which bode in your favor. On Long Island, Jody Goldberg, Fox 5 News.
A new exhibit at the 9/11 Museum using art to cope with the unthinkable.
We're going to show you the new display of children's drawings ahead of its opening day tomorrow.
And more than half of Americans say they're not getting enough shut-eye. How Sleep Magazine could help you catch some Z's.
A new exhibit opens tomorrow at the 9/11 Museum featuring artwork from children after the terror attack.
That's right. That new display focuses on how drawing became a way for children to make sense of the unimaginable. Fox 5's Meredith Gorman takes us to Lower Manhattan.
A new exhibition is on display at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum, and it features art made by school-age children in the aftermath of the terror attacks on September 11th, 2001.
Kids seized agency in a way. You know, they could do something. They could write a note of thanks. They could draw. They could respond and hope to get their messages to the intended recipients. And remarkably, many of them did find their way actually to Ground Zero.
Over 45 works of art are on display, with the museum's chief curator saying that about half were made by kids who attended local schools in Lower Manhattan at the time of the terrorist attacks, and the other half made by children from around the U.S. and around the world. The artists' ages range from preschoolers to high schoolers, and the settings where they created this art varies greatly, with some pieces being made in schools or neighborhood associations, some coming from first aid groups that were sent to first responders, while others made by children who suffered a loss in 9/11.
In some cases, the art was made in bereavement programs for children. Unfortunately, some of the 10,000 children who would go home from school on Tuesday, September 11th, and find out that a parent was not coming home.
The backstories behind these pieces of art are touching, and the exhibition also serves as a way to introduce the new generation of peers who were born after 9/11 to the historic event that we continue to experience effects from today. Now, this exhibition opens to the public on Wednesday, February 19th, and will run for 18 months, with art being swapped out after 9 months, so you can come through and look at the art twice. Reporting from Lower Manhattan, I'm Meredith Gorman, Fox 5 News.
Well, it's been 45 years since the Olympic Games were held in New York.
All right, and if you didn't make it to Lake Placid back in the winter of 1980, you could get another chance next year.
And a big day in court tomorrow for Mayor Eric Adams and the future of his corruption case. We're taking the pulse of the people next. Investigators are still looking for the suspect and a motive.
A New Jersey lawmaker wants to end the ban on single-use plastic bags in the state. Republican Assemblyman John Azariti Jr. announced legislation today to repeal the law, which went into effect nearly 3 years ago. Republican lawmakers last year proposed a similar bill that never gained any traction. Groups in support of the ban say that it has resulted in less plastic trash on beaches, and recycling centers have reported fewer bags in their facilities.
And registration is now open for the Tunnel to Towers Climb NYC. The event has been held since 2015 to celebrate the life and sacrifice of 9/11 heroes. It's the only chance for the public to climb to the 102nd floor of the One World Observatory. If you want to register, hurry. Only 1,000 spots are available. The climb is set for Sunday, June 1st. Well, if you've ever dreamed of attending the Olympics, you might be able to make it happen next year without even traveling far.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Some of the facilities for the 2026 Winter Games in Italy are still not ready, and as Fox 5's Michelle Ross explains, New York has been designated as a backup.
You might be able to leave your passport at home to see some of the 2026 Winter Olympic Games, despite the stage being set in Italy. The backup plan for some of the events is scheduled for upstate New York.
Although we are Plan B is still important.
Lake Placid was home to the 1932 and 1980 Winter Games and is the secondary option for the bobsled, skeleton, and luge events next year. So visitors would not only learn about the history, but also watch current events. The bobsled track at Mount Van Hovenberg in North Elba would be the site. Recent venue renovations make it possible for the region to host these events now that they're in compliance with international competition guidelines.
It just reinforces our position in the international sporting arena as Lake Placid being one of the more sought after locations for international sporting events. Just hosted the World Championship ski jumping. We have the World Championship bobsledding coming in March.
And the economic impact would be significant, as Adirondack Park is made up of 6 million acres, about the size of the state of Vermont, with plenty for visitors to do when it comes to outdoor recreation in any season.
Cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, snowmobiling, ice fishing, all of those great outdoor activities. And then, of course, in the summer, there's hiking, and we have so much water. So we have lakes and streams, so there's paddling.
And with the chances still being pretty low for the Olympic Games coming to New York State, you don't need the Olympics as an excuse to plan a trip to Lake Placid when outdoor recreation is available year-round. Michelle Ross, Fox 5 News.
I've never been there.
Yeah,
Looks
it's a
amazing.
different kind of beauty.
For sure. Well, one New York woman has 104 reasons to celebrate tonight.
But it's not just reaching such a milestone that's making headlines, it's where she chose to spend birthday number 104.
All right, and let's talk spring training. Mets owner Steve Cohen is laying out his vision for the Amazes. We're going to check in with Tina Cervasio down in Port St. Lucie. Let's talk baseball now and Mets spring training.
Owner Steve Cohen outlining his ambitious and amazing goals for the season. Fox 5's Tina Cervasio has the details from Port St. Lucie.
There would not be all this buzz and excitement surrounding the New York Mets this spring training if it were not for team owner Steve Cohen. Reportedly worth nearly $22 billion, the hedge fund manager who grew up in Great Neck, New York, and was a Mets fan first, bought this team to build himself and New York a winner. And from day one, Cohen has talked about his vision for the Mets to win a World Series in 3 to 5 years under his plan. Last year's thrilling, unexpected pennant chase and run to Game 6 of the NLCS has made Cohen even hungrier. That's why he went out and signed superstar slugger Juan Soto to the largest deal in all of sports ever. And in a rare opportunity at spring training on Tuesday, Cohen sat down at Clover Park to talk candidly about his team, including what he sees as a must for the 2025 Mets.
No, we got to make the playoffs. Okay, that's the minimum. You know, after getting a taste of being in the league championship, we want to go to the World Series, right? And we want to win.
Cohen adds that it has been thrilling to see Juan Soto in the Mets orange and blue uniform, especially when he steps into the batter's box.
It's always nice when a plan comes together, and that plan came together, and you know, it's exciting to think about having him, but once you see him starting to hit in the cage, and looking forward to him to playing games, and I think he's going to create a lot of excitement for the team.
And despite hearing Steve Cohen's disappointment about attendance last season, he says there is already a significant increase in ticket sales for this year. Reporting at Met Spring Training in Port St. Lucie, Florida, Tina Cervasio, Fox 5 News.
Well, if you're dreading the night of tossing and turning that's to come, you're definitely not alone.
More and more people are trying to maximize their sleep. We're pulling back the covers on the hacks they're trying.
All right, it's kind of like spring training, but for Phish fans. Today, the band announced its summer tour schedule, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees are coming to 2 shows in Queens. A good night's sleep. We all want it. Most of us don't get it. In fact, a recent Gallup poll finds 57% of us say we'd feel better if we got more of it.
Which has created a whole cottage industry dedicated to helping you catch better Z's. Fox 8's Meredith Gorman is pulling back the covers on what's called sleep maxing.
Sleep is incredibly important, and doctors say more and more people are doing what they can to get a better night's rest. In fact, it now even has a name: sleep maxing. And it involves truly looking at how we can improve the quality, quantity, and regularity of our sleep.
Sleep is pivotal for you to achieve your best quality of life, best function. It is proven to be an innate substance that is going to augment your ability to have a better immune system, better cognitive function, greater ability to be able to respond with the right mood, less impulsive, and great judgment.
Experts say some people can take it too far, between buying things that are advertised to improve your sleep with no proven evidence, or even getting lost in the data from sleep tracking wearable technology.
People are really taking a lot more control, which I think is nice. Where it gets to be too far is where people can give themselves anxiety by knowing too much. But if you get too anxious about your sleep, it's going to have the opposite effect.
Wearable technology is more popular than ever, and people we spoke to agree with what doctors told us. The data you see can get in your head sometimes, but nonetheless, people are making choices to get a better night's sleep.
It's quite interesting, actually, but then it puts a bit of pressure on you to fall asleep a bit quicker than usual sometimes.
I do some meditation, some light reading, and like I said, I take melatonin and that type of thing.
The bottom line here is better sleep is trending thanks to social media, and the doctors we spoke to today said this trend is one for the better. Reporting from Midtown Manhattan, I'm Meredith Gorman, Fox 5 News.
I mean, the sleep world is huge business. I'm in a really good place with my sleep. Although I didn't really like the mouth tape. That wasn't for me. But a lot of people use it.
That was too much for you?
That's where I drew the line.
No, but that shows you how far people will go for a good night's sleep. They'll try anything for sure. A lot of people do love that. All right, let's go to Liv now for a look at the forecast. Liv, I bet you sleep like a baby at night.
Stay up crying at all hours.
Blackout curtains, eye mask, earplugs. So no, you're actually way off, Steve. Okay. It takes me a lot to get a good night's sleep. It's sleeping weather though. Okay, here's our transition. It's very cold outside. It's a great time to stay inside and just go to sleep. We did have nice sunny skies today. Okay, that's something that was on our side. No precipitation for us. Those winds are coming down just a bit, which we really need. That's really been affecting our temperatures the last couple of days. Still some dangerous wind chills, especially as we get it through tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon gets a little better. Snow is going to pass us to the south on Thursday. It's a system we've been talking about for a while. It's also going to be cold for a while, especially through the end of this week. Today we only got up to a high of 27 degrees. It was 28 out on Long Island. 25 for Poughkeepsie and White Plains. And to put that into perspective, usually we're a high of 43, so we are well below average for this time of year. Same thing yesterday and same thing tomorrow. We're not alone though. We're looking at really chilly temperatures across the U.S. 38 was the high for Washington, 14 for Chicago, and Minneapolis only got up to a high of 4 degrees. You can see where we get this Arctic air, this polar vortex going all the way down, right almost in the middle of Texas. Now, it's mainly affecting the middle part of the U.S., especially as we go through the next couple of days. I mean, it's obviously affecting us too. We've been well below average, but areas shaded in pink expecting temperatures tomorrow nearly 45 degrees below normal, and some areas seeing wind chill of -30, -40 degrees. We're also tracking this system that's in the middle of the country, bringing some snow to places like Missouri and Illinois, and it is making its way further east. It's going to hit Tennessee, Kentucky. Unfortunately, those areas areas that had very severe flooding over the last couple of days, and some storms to portions of the southeast. Now, this is the system that's been threatening us, and we've been tracking this. It's gotten a lot of talk because, some models showed it looking pretty bad last week, but it really just looks like we might get a light dusting, if that. On the model behind me, you can see maybe half an inch, but I think even that is over exaggerating what we can expect. It's really going to be more for our coastal areas, if anything, because it barely goes up on shore, down the shore in New Jersey, maybe out on East Hampton. But again, really just a light dusting is the most that we could see early Thursday morning going into Thursday afternoon. In the near future, we're looking at mainly sunny skies tomorrow. More clouds will roll through later tomorrow evening as that system gets closer to us. And then other than that, we're looking pretty dry. Other than that chance of precipitation on Thursday, we're going to be dry going into the weekend. We still have to worry about that wind chill. I mentioned that earlier. Today we woke up with temperatures feeling like the single digits, some of us the negatives. That's going to repeat tomorrow. So 7 o'clock in the morning, it's going to feel like 5 degrees in New York, negative 14 for Monticello, and negative 2 for Bridgeport. Most of the day will feel like teens and 20s. For our lows, teens, and then single digits for Poughkeepsie and Monticello. Tomorrow, very similar, just a high of 30 degrees. We will stay in the 20s for the next couple of days before up into the 30s and 40s. So at least we're on an upwards trend for the start of next week.
Yeah, it's going to be tropical. All right, thanks, Lip. Well, a new study finds that people are hardwired to move and groove to the sound of music. Researchers at Concordia University in Canada compare people who can't experience an emotional reaction to music to those who can, and they found that even those with what's called musical anhedonia still experience the urge to move when they hear music and sound. So nodding your head or tapping your feet when you hear a tune is all about biology.
Wow,
Okay,
no
there
idea.
we go. Yeah, there we go. Nice. All right. Well, Gen Z apparently feeling the lure of a word that's been around for centuries.
What's behind this renewed use of a 4-letter word steeped in lore?
All right, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees Phish just released their summer tour dates today. The band will be closing out a 23-show summer run with their first ever shows at Forest Hill Stadium in Queens, July 22nd and 23rd, followed by a 3-night run at the Saratoga Performing Arts Center. Also of note, a 3-night run at Folsom Field in Colorado, July 3rd, 4th, and 5th, in place of their traditional Labor Day weekend run at Dick's Sporting Goods Field in Denver.
Shout out to CK5.
CK5, that's right. Let's see how many shows Natasha goes to this summer.
Oh, let's see. At least one. Denver would be fun.
Yeah, the Boulder shows would be
Yeah.
good. Yeah, for sure. All right, well, an old English word has a new lease on life thanks to Gen Zers. The word lore, L-O-R-E, is becoming a new slang term.
All right, it's all about exploring a person's life story. Fox Eyes Kendall Green did just that while talking to some New Yorkers today.
It has roses, it has calla lilies, it has anemones, it has...
Meet Ed.
Yeah.
A few questions got us some lore on his journey as a florist, where he's learned a thing or two about flowers.
The fruit that they talk about in the Bible. This is Quentin.
One could assume his love for flowers has blossomed over the years, but really...
It's a job like any other job.
Have you found your favorite flower at all?
Before, yes. Now, I lost I lost their appeal.
And after all of that lore, we know he's there to get his job done.
Don't get it wrong. When I do deliver them, and people be like, "Oh, how beautiful, how beautiful," I agree with them. Oh yeah, look at this, look at that. I'll name you the flowers and all that.
And speaking of lore, what's the lore? What's the lore?
Senior night at Hunter College for women's basketball.
So that's the lore behind these.
These are just balloons.
Okay. You know when I keep saying lore, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, we're Gen Z.
The word was second place for Oxford Dictionary's 2024 Word of the Year. Those ladies were carrying some balloons, and I asked them the lore behind it. Why they were carrying them, the backstory, where they're going with those balloons. So that's what that.
Oh, no, I know.
So you got your little lore today.
Yes, I understand now. Good to know.
It could also be used as a term for drama. The latest lore. You got some
no, Loki, no, I got a boring life. Does that count as lore?
Lack of lore?
Lack of lore is lore, I guess, if you put it that way.
I got you.
Yeah, I got nothing going on. I'm sorry, man.
Me either, bro. It's just boring over here. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, right?
It means everything's going good, man. Everything's going good.
Kendall Green, Fox 5 News.
What's Kendall talking about? He's a new father.
No, believe me, he wishes he was born. He wishes.
He has a baby. All right. A big day for women's sports. The hard-hitting players for the Jersey Shore Wave hit the field in Patterson today. They're the newest team for the Women's National Football Conference and Jersey's very first female tackle football team. They'll be playing at the historic Hinchcliffe Stadium. Right now, the players and the coaches of the Wave are not paid, but that could change soon.
And we're looking for the communities to rally around us. We need businesses to sponsor our athletes and get behind the team. We need 10,000 fans to fill these.
The Jersey Shore Wave's first home game is Saturday, April 5th against the Washington Prodigy.
I love the logo. All right, this is more of the 10 o'clock news straight ahead.
But first, here's a look at what's coming up next on Good Night, New York.
Well, a 104-year-old woman in Western New York wishing to spend her birthday behind bars. The Livingston County Sheriff's Office fulfilled that wish in all her years. Loretta Never went to jail, but the Sheriff's Office changed that. As you see here, deputies had cake and coffee with her before fingerprinting her, taking her mugshot, and locking her in a cell. Of course, Loretta had not done anything wrong. This was just her birthday.
I was not expecting this at all.
That was a nice break for the workers at that jail. This was the most lovely person they've had in there in a long time, I'm sure. Very nice. Happy birthday to her. That does it for us tonight. If you missed any part of the 10 o'clock news, you can always catch an encore on our free streaming app, Fox Local.
Where you can stream our newscasts anytime. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.